Hello and welcome back to Module 2. Hopefully you enjoyed the case study that we talked about last time, which was about using Wally in order to produce a contextual hub for learning. This time we're going to be thinking about another example, and we're going to be using the example of the Olympic Games. One of the reasons why this is a great example is because people have been doing projects about the Olympic Games for a long time. And if you think back to about the Olympic Games, then actually, it's very easy to link it to different aspects of the curriculum. We've got literacy activities that we could do because perhaps the children could pretend to be sports reporters, or they could write up about the individual countries or athletes. We've got science activities because the technologies which are used within the Olympic Games, Winter Olympics and the Summer Olympics. We've got obvious links to numeracy because all sporting events spit out data in terms of high scores or the amount of time that's left in a match. Obvious links to health and well-being and physical activity, and what a great context for social subjects in terms of researching the geography of the area or indeed even the history of the Olympic Games. And there's also the political angle about countries that do and don't compete and the money involved with some of these countries as well. So the Olympic Games is something that we've done projects on for a long period of time. And all we're doing here is that we're saying we're still doing a project on the Olympic Games, all right, but we're actually going to base it around Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. So the teacher feels comfortable because they're doing a project on the Olympic Games and they've done projects on the Olympic Games probably for all of their career. The kids are engaged, right, because they're doing a project on Mario and Sonic on the Olympic Games. The truth of it is, though, it's just a project on the Olympic Games. Now there are different bits of software that we could use for this. The Xbox do a title called The Olympics, and a Nintendo do a title for the Wii and the Wii U called Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, and they've been running that since Beijing. And they've also done it for the Canadian Olympics, for the London Olympics, and for the Olympics in Russia last year as well, both summer and winter games. All right? And it's a title that I'm sure they'll continue to develop. Here's some examples here of some children that are collecting data. Again, they're using this data to feed into their maths lesson. The other interesting thing I think I should say here is that these children set up the Wii, and that's part of their job when they come back in after lunch every day. The classroom teacher here would probably openly say to you that she wasn't particularly technology competent, but the important thing is that she trusted the children, and therefore they took charge of the technology. Because they were trusted, they took ownership of it, and it actually saved the teacher an awful lot of hard work. Here's some examples then from around the classroom of work that children did linked into this project. There were 3 classes in the school taking part of the project, and they were split up as to 3 countries, so they all did similar activities but with a different context. One was Japan, one was Russia, and one was Spain. And they all did these different activities. Here's one, for example, where they're researching different athletes and they're looking at stereotypes and they're looking at the uniform for it. We know again that games really help promote writing. So this is again the children working and researching the different athletes that are there. Again, getting some digital literacy skills in about using so they can understand which websites to use, which websites not to use. Going away and actually researching something for real. And then actually imagining that they were these athletes after they picked one, and thinking about what would they feel like if they were participating, in the Winter Olympic Games themselves. They had their own medal board. This wasn't based on the actual scores coming from the games. This was based on each of the classes competing on the Nintendo Wii, and they had their own. They got their own medals over time. Now you'll notice that Norway in this picture hasn't got an alpine skiing medal, and it was the class that was Norway. They'd won the gold medal for alpine skiing. And the reason for that was because we thought it would be an interesting idea to take that medal away from the class. And the reason that we took the medal away from the class is because it was had been withdrawn pending further investigation. And interestingly, this is how the teachers work with the class to introduce some of those more complicated issues around substance misuse. All right, so done in a playful way to talk about something which is very important. There was also scope in a number of these projects that we've won to be able to connect with different schools in other countries using technologies such as Skype in the classroom. There was one project in particular where we connected Gavinburn Primary School in West Dunbartonshire in Scotland with Dorothy Dalgleish Primary School in Alberta in Canada. and we connected via Skype. Both projects were doing the Olympic Games. Both were using Mario and Sonic as a context for learning. The problem, of course, was the time zone. So the Canadian teacher, Jen Dayenberg, a very, very talented teacher, kept her class in all night so that they could connect. And after they finished doing this, bearing in mind this is a project on the Olympics using Mario and Sonic, after actually the learning activity became an activity around global citizenship because the children were asking about each other, but more importantly, it became an activity also to help children understand different time zones. Obvious links as well to language learning. Again, this is the children from Gavin Primary School who, with Japanese class, a language that they wouldn't normally learn, took the opportunity to learn some Japanese where they were doing this project. So again, just like WALL-E, that the opportunities here, are completely endless. It's just thinking about our imagination and thinking about what could we do with these computer games, using it as a contextual hub for learning, as a theme for learning. And the final picture to show you here, this is a set of roving reporters using the green screen, and they're reporting back not just on the Olympic Games happening in the classroom, but also on the Olympic Games that are actually happening in real time while it's being played as well. So again, lots and lots of possibilities, and hopefully quite non-threatening to the classroom teacher because they'll have been doing projects on the Olympics for a long time. So here's an easy one for you to think about then. How about you set yourself a target that you're definitely going to do something on the Olympic Games when it comes to Rio in 2016. You've got almost a year and a half to plan it. Have a think about what sort of learning activities could you do using Mario and Sonic at the Rio Olympics. It's not been released yet, but when it comes out, how might you link your curriculum and do some really, really interesting project-based learning using Mario and Sonic as the context, but reinforcing some of those things to do with the Olympics and in particular Olympic values. Okay, good luck and see you next time.